Good morning, afternoon, or evening, all. Thanks for joining us for Stable Stories today. Stable Stories is a video series that explores the behind-the-scenes experiences, learnings, and insights of builders pioneering in the stablecoin industry. Today we have Thomas Mattimore. He is the CEO of ABC Labs, that works with the Reserve Protocol. We are going to dive into some really interesting stablecoin stuff. Reserve's been around a long time. I've been following them for a long time, and I'm super excited about this episode. Welcome, Thomas. Thanks for joining. How's your week going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, Dave.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so kick things right off. We do this every week with all of our guests. First question of the day before we dive into Reserve stuff. What was your first experience with stablecoins? First time using them, playing with them, trading with them? Yeah, what was it, and what did you think?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've been into crypto since 2014, and then but it was always a hobby and something that I was doing in my free time. And then in 2021, I got a loan on MakerDAO for against some Bitcoin, and borrowed some DAI. And my mind was totally blown. I was working in a traditional tech lending company. It was actually one of the top mortgage lenders in the country at the time, on the automation of lending. And I got this pretty big loan in a couple clicks in a couple seconds, and all of a sudden there was a bunch of DAI in my wallet, and I was like, wait, this whole DeFi thing is real. And then just went fully down the rabbit hole of yield farming and understanding AMMs and lending platforms and CDPs and all these different things to understand what was going on here. And at the end of the day, I'm just wildly bullish on the DeFi mullet and DeFi as a technology to automate so much of the headaches that are in traditional finance.
Yeah, I feel like the mullet went into hibernation for a little while, but it is undefeated, and it will rise again for sure.
It is rising. We're seeing it now. There's been like massive examples of it. Coinbase is like the big one, but it's happening. It's really happening.
Yeah, for sure. And actually, anecdotally, I think you're the second or third guest that we've had whose like first stablecoin experience was Maker. That was my first experience too. So yeah,
nice.
It's eye-opening, right? The first time it happens and it clicks. It's like buying coffee with crypto for the first time.
Definitely. Oh man, like it's funny. Like I had used I'd used margin and a brokerage account before. But the moment you're like, wait, I don't actually need to sign up for anything. I can just deposit and use it, and then the things are in my wallet and it's all automated. You're like, wow, this is obviously the future, right?
Yeah, 100%. So from that experience to Reserve to ABC, how did that evolve?
Yeah, so I've been in tech for a long time. Never worked in crypto directly, and then I got connected with Nevin Freeman, the founder of the Reserve project, and it was the perfect fit. I really wanted to focus on real world use cases and build within the DeFi ecosystem, and work with really smart people. And those three things were just like all very much the case with Reserve. And so Nevin and Taylor Brent, the lead protocol engineer, who was one of the only other folks working on this at the time, we joined together and started ABC Labs and got the protocol going, and it's been a really amazing 3 years.
Amazing, yeah. And Reserve has been a DeFi OG for so long. It's really cool to see some of the stuff that you're building. So let's jump right into what you guys are working on. Let's start with an overview of Reserve's mission, 30,000 foot view. What is Reserve up to?
Yeah, so it was started with this idea that we can solve inflation, right? Which is kind of crazy, right? It's like this big crazy. It's kind of like SpaceX is going to go to Mars. Like, all right, that's kind of wild, right? And so we, over the last 7 years now, which is kind of crazy, the folks at the project have been working on, okay, how do we really address this? How do we focus on what we can do today? And so it started with this idea of a stablecoin protocol, got off the ground with a stablecoin app, allowing people throughout Latin America to use stablecoins as money to fight inflation in countries with very, 100% month over month inflation, right? Which is it's really hard. We've had like 50% over the last couple of years, which is already, and you're seeing everyone in America is very unhappy about it, right? Like it bubbles out in other ways, but it's nothing. It's nothing compared to 100% month over month, right? It's like hard to wrap your head around. And so dollars solve that, and stable coins make it very easy to get people dollars in countries with high inflation. And so our first, we released the first version of the Reserve Protocol a few years ago that allows people to bundle together different assets to create permissionless, censorship-resistant stablecoins and yield-bearing stablecoins. Those can be denominated in dollars. They can be denominated in ETH. A few of the big ones are actually a diversified LST ETH product, so people can just easily and safely get access to ETH yields in a diversified manner. Same thing with stablecoins. USD3 is the largest yield-bearing stablecoin on the platform. And then we've got EUSD, which is a very safe, over-collateralized, diversified, censorship-resistant, permissionless stablecoin. I know it's got all the buzzwords in there.
Yeah, it was a mouthful. Well done. You hit them all, I
think. But it's we focused on all those different things because at the end of the day, like inflation comes from people tampering with the money supply. And so having those things all baked into the stablecoin, EUSD, the electronic dollar, is critical. And so, so those have all been, live. They're available in DeFi. We have the app that is the Stablecoin app that allows people to use stablecoins as money. It's now called Ugly Cash. It's actually separate from ABC Labs. It's another company building in the Reserve ecosystem. Gabo and the team that are working on that have been creating really, really incredible products and experiences for people throughout Latin America and now in America as well. They relaunched the product a year ago to make it so that it's worldwide. They actually just launched in Africa last week as well. It's been really fun to see people use these DeFi native, insert all the buzzwords, permissionless, censorship-resistant, diversified, backing, stable coins to give people access to better money around the world. And then a few months ago, earlier this year, we launched a new platform that lets people create diversified index DTFs. And a DTF is like an ETF, but in crypto. And you might think like, why is this related to inflation? Well, there's a few things here. How do people store their money? They store it in very diversified indexes of various different assets. And you mentioned ABC Labs as the name of our company at the beginning of this. Our long-term view is that asset-backed currencies that are diversified, tokenized baskets of assets that are all bundled together into an easy-to-save vehicle, easy to use, easy to save with currency or token, is how we think we can fight inflation in the long term. And so we created this new thing that allows people to create these diversified baskets, these DTFs, that make it easy for people to just one click buy a whole bunch of different assets. And so today there's around 12 DTFs that are live on the platform. These are broad crypto indexes as well as sector-specific indexes within crypto, whether that's the open stablecoin, which has things like the Maker governance token Sky, as well as all the different governance tokens of all the different stablecoins. You can invest in the stablecoin ecosystem. You can also invest in the DeFi ecosystem with the CoinDesk index that's focused on the major DeFi players. You can focus on, we partnered with Bloomberg for the launch for the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index, which is the oldest crypto index, actually. Fun fact. It was a spreadsheet that I think James Seifert from Bloomberg is a Bloomberg ETF analyst, created in 2017, that turned into a legit professional managed index at Bloomberg, and is now tracked by the DTF on Reserve. And so people can easily just in one click send USDC or ETH or whatever they want, and it will buy a single token that is fully backed and redeemable for all these different assets that back it.
So cool. I think I've been dying for someone to create index funds of crypto that are customizable for the user. I got to throw like a way back reference to a project called Melon, and I think they were trying to do something kind of similar, and I got really excited about that. And then it was just prohibitively expensive and very rudimentary. And since then, I haven't really seen anything come up that does that. And when DTFs came out, incredible name, by the way. You jumped right into it, and you took away my opportunity to say WTF or DTFs, because I was like, great. So I'm going to do that still. But yeah, I think that those are such needed primitives in the space to allow both crypto natives and retail users to easily allocate across a variety of tokens and spaces. And you do, if I'm correct, it's base Solana. Base Ethereum, and Solana's coming sooner. Is that live now?
Base mainnet and Solana's coming soon, later this year. We're targeting. And there's actually one other network that's in the process, and will be coming out probably later this month.
Very, very exciting. Yeah, that's super cool. If we can double back a little bit to what you were saying earlier about RPay and Ugly Cash. Ugly Cash, by the way, great project as well. That's been coming up on my timeline a bunch. Really love what they were doing, and I feel remiss that I wasn't aware that you guys were working together on that. So yeah, completely independently came across my radar. We talk about it internally, and we love the branding and the idea behind it. But yeah, in the Latin American market, in a lot of African markets, it seems as though people get stable coins because it's a direct experiential thing, right? They really they offer a lifeline to inflation hedging in a way that no other product exists. So the educational barrier associated with getting people to onboard into stable coins essentially disappears, because it's more of everyone rushing toward the lifeboats versus an educational challenge or user adoption, which is predominantly what we talk about in the Western space in North America. How do you see the adoption of stablecoins in North American markets differing from the way that things are sort of seem to be more naturally occurring simply as a function of solving major friction points over the next little while? Compare and contrast the two markets.
Yeah, so fundamentally, people use products because they solve a problem for them, right? Once you get outside of that super user initial believer group, right? At the end of the day, that's why people do it. And like you mentioned, in Latin America, people are using stablecoins because it's the easiest way to get access to dollars, which is the easiest way to escape inflation, right? But in the US, our banks work pretty well. Ignoring the Silicon Valley Bank thing. For the most part, they work pretty well. Bank accounts work great. You can get dollars in them. It's not illegal to hold dollars in those bank accounts like it is in many Latin American countries. And the problems that are getting solved are slightly different. And we're starting to see it play out in a couple different ways. Businesses are adopting stablecoins because it's cheaper in many ways to use stablecoins for payments than it is than to use credit cards or accept credit cards, right? And you're starting to see this. The Coinbase Shopify partnership that was announced around a month ago, I believe. And your Stripe is getting into stablecoins. There's a lot of push on the business front to drive down the exchange rate, or rather the fees that come along with accepting payments. And so that's one angle that's pushing it. Another angle is people just want simpler products. Why is there a difference between a savings and a checking account? Right? It's kind of silly, right? It's I can't get yield on the dollars in my checking account, but that's the thing I pay bills with. but I can get yield with these dollars over here in my savings account, but I can only move money back and forth 6 times a month. Like, what the heck is that, right? Yeah. That feels very not 2025. And so you're already seeing, there's new credit cards that are drawing from a Morpho deposited stablecoin balance, right? That just inherently makes a lot more sense to someone in 2025 that has grown up with the tech that we have available. It's less confusing in a weird way than, well, I can only move money between my savings account 6 times a month. Right, and you're seeing those types of products come out and start to gain adoption. It's still with the super user group, but I think things like that are actually solving problems and making it easier are going to be the things that get adoption. And Ugly Cash, bringing it back on that, same thing, debit card that can be used around the world in many different countries, not all of them yet, but I know Gablo's pushing hard to make that happen. And it's pulling from a balance that's stable coins that are getting yield in DeFi, right? And so again, this DeFi mullet that we were talking about right in the beginning is coming into play to unlock these new financial experiences that are just simpler for people, where they don't have to, know about these arcane banking rules, and they can just do the thing that they want, which is like get yield on their savings and then spend it as well.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And actually, on that point, I wanted your take on how UX plays into solving that. Like, it seems to me as though there are a ton of other options. There are a ton of options in DeFi currently that allow a user to maximize yield, to spend their stable coins. But at the same time, there is a bit of an arcane nature to that as well at the moment, right? And I think we're just sort of like exiting the period of our developmental growth where things just were technically prohibitive, and the UX couldn't really be built on top of it. How is Reserve thinking about putting all of that on the front end, abstracting away 90% of the mullet, and just leaving, I guess, the business up front, so that a user can like leverage all of those advantages without having to go through the hoops of interacting with all the protocols?
Yeah, definitely. And this is, in many ways, none of this was possible a few years ago, right? And so I'll jump into, like, first of all, Ugly Cash is using EUSD, which is the stablecoin that I mentioned. It's the protocol is sharing yield with the Ugly Cash users on the back end. They don't have to worry about any of that, though. All they know is they have EUSD in their account that's earning yield, and they can spend it with a card, right? And so Ugly Cash is very much DeFi mullet. There's DeFi that's powering it, and there's the censorship-resistant, permissionless stablecoin in the back end, and then in the front end there's this amazing experience with really fun branding and an easy UX that is what people are used to on a mobile app in the front end. And then on the Reserve side, it's kind of similar but totally different because we're in the protocol world. But the DTFs are, we've built some really fun technology that allow you to take USDC and send it to the protocol, and it will go out and buy all of the different assets that are back in the DTF and deposit it into the protocol and give you back the DTF token. And so it's all in one transaction, and it's bundling together all these different Uniswap or Aerodrome trades on Base, and calculating the exact amount of each of the underlying things to get, and then depositing those things into the protocol. So you get this one-to-one backed diversified index DTF token that is fully redeemable for all the underlying. But again, like, you couldn't have built this 5 years ago, right? Like, the infrastructure wasn't there. Tau swap wasn't there. The DEX aggregators weren't there where they are now. Like, all these things just weren't ready. And also the cross-chain thing was real. You couldn't build a crypto index 5 years ago that included all the top crypto tokens and have it in one place on the blockchain, because it was all different blockchains. But there's like really, 2021 was the year of the bridge hacks, but there's actually like very robust bridging solutions now with trusted custodians like Coinbase Prime, or Binance custody, or like all these different exchanges now are doing custody as opposed to these less battle-tested providers, right? that are, and so like all of a sudden we've got these wrapped versions of different assets on all the different blockchains. And so on Base, where the DTF protocol is now, you can actually go and get every different crypto asset basically. And do it in one spot. And Universal is one of the partners that we use for this. For many of the tokens of the baskets, it's all custodied with Coinbase Prime very safely, and they've got like immediate liquidity needs that will tap into liquidity, whether it's CowSwap or Coinbase DEX liquidity. There's like all this liquidity that comes in and makes it so that you can build an experience like the DTFs that is actually easy for users, where they do a single transaction to get in and out.
It's so cool. Bit of professional curiosity. Are there plans for cross-chain DTFs? Like, when can I make my Bonk, Pengu, and Pepe blue chip DTF?
Yeah, so technically things could be bridged to Base right now. Wormhole is a great provider. Layer 0 is a great provider on the bridging front. Universal has some of those as well. And so like, you could do that with a lot of the Solana tokens and bundle it together with Base tokens and bundle it together with Ethereum mainnet tokens, all on Base today. So yeah, it is an option. There's, you still do have to figure out like where's the liquidity and all these different assets as a DTF creator, but it is possible.
Very cool. Very cool. Amazing. So on that, like little like talk about the future. What's the big thing? What are the next big things on the reserve roadmap next 12 months, 6 months? 12 months. 12 months seems like a million years away. I feel like we're not way too far out on that. Yeah, next 3, 6, 8 months.
Yeah. So the number one thing that we're focused on right now is distribution. I think one of the learnings in crypto and in stablecoins over the last few years, that distribution is king. And so one of the main things we're focused on is, we're working with some fantastic distribution partners, and figured out how we can make it as easy as possible to get DTFs wherever someone wants to buy a crypto asset, right? And there was a piece of this happened just last week actually, the Coinbase DEX integration for retail. I'm not sure if you saw that, but it's a small percent of Coinbase users right now in the beta.
1%. It's still bananas. Yeah,
it's still bananas. But we're as that rolls out more broadly, all of a sudden every single Coinbase customer around the world is going to be able to buy Base DTFs. And so the Bloomberg Galaxy crypto one, the Alpha Base Index, which is run by the altcoinist community, which is fantastic. Those two are two of the ones that have been getting a lot of attention on the Coinbase DEX integration. But Coinbase is one piece of the puzzle. There's other exchanges that have other distribution as well that we're working with, and excited for that. And then on the other side of the coin, or the other side, we mentioned Solana. We've got a fun angle on DTFs for Solana that the team is cranking on, and we're hoping to have ready for Breakpoint this year.
Very exciting. I also really like the idea of being able to bundle synthetic stocks, pre-IPOs. Like there's a few projects that are working on even like pre-IPO stock trading and stuff through Solana. I don't know if there's one on Base, but I'm pretty sure there's one on a couple on Solana. So to be able to combine that into a holistic portfolio that touches both Web3 and Web2, huge, absolutely huge.
Even
yeah,
like even tokenized gold, right? Like PAX G, is actually like a very big asset, by the way, and it's been around, and they didn't really do much with it, and for a long time, and it just kind of kept growing. People want access to these assets in a tokenized form. And we're seeing this with TradFi too. The institutions are coming is something that I've been hearing since 2017, and it hasn't really been the case, but it is very much the case now. I think the Genius Act was a watershed moment, even though it's focused on stablecoins. It's giving the green light to institutions to actually get involved, and I think people that are in crypto and have been hearing the institutions that are coming for a very long time are underestimating what it actually means in terms of size, in terms of speed, right? Like they're going to move slower, but they're going to move a lot bigger.
And
right?
none of us are used to that. No one's used to anything moving slowly. And I think that, like, total, armchair opinion, but like, we're not built to think in terms of the exponentials that are like moving into the space at this point, which is very exciting, a little bit scary, but really,
The money markets and the tokenized commercial paper, and the commercial paper and the bond markets, those are measured in trillions, not hundreds of millions, right?
Yeah.
And there's like many orders of magnitude in between those two numbers, right? As those things, we saw, I think it was like 100 billion of tokenized money markets and other dollar yield type products. But again, hundreds of 100 billion, that's like 10x or 100x different from what the addressable market is here.
Yeah, we say we're so early, but I don't think we fully grasp what that actually means.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, this seems like a good time to wrap things up. Thomas, again, I want to thank you for joining us today. It was a great chat with you about Reserve and about DTFs. If people want to learn more, where should they go? What should they do? We'll put all the links in the show notes after as well, so people can click on it.
Definitely. So reserve.org is the #1 spot to go to check it out. And then, you can follow us on Twitter, Reserve Protocol, or you can follow me for more nuanced, frequent updates at Matimost.
Very nice. Thank you again for joining. This has been Stable Stories. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Thanks, Dave.